Hi, Warriors. ECB Day decision presser. Who's ready? Is the euro going to break out to 1850 or stall here? That's the $100 question. All right. Hi, Steve. Ingmar. Hi, Ryan. You ought to get some of that fake tan you could put on. Hugo, AJ, everybody. K-Man's here. James Groom, AJ. Okay. So, hi, Linda Lyons. Welcome to Face.
Hey, good morning, Coach. By the way, we
Hey,
have a full house here today. I think even Grega's here.
yeah, thank you, Grega, for getting me the link. I had a little accident. I broke a glass and I don't know, deleted my email to get in. I save an email because anyway, I don't get
Why
the
we are
daily.
here.
I don't get the dailies anymore. You want to lead off with what you're seeing, buddy?
Yeah,
Off the
sure.
bat? Okay. So
Of course.
let me stop sharing. To me, the big question is, and I think it's still a question for you too, is this a pullback to buy in the dollar, rally to sell in FX, or are we going to make new lows in the Dixie, take out that 96?
Yeah, you see the
Where,
screen?
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I see your preferred count now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that since we broke out of this
Yeah,
flag,
97.20. Yeah, that those two spikes that it held the week before.
yeah,
And
exactly. That was
okay,
when news came out that Trump
right,
get
Powell
rid of Powell. Yes, exactly. So
and the CPI. There were 2 days like that, and then the last time it was down there, it just held it. It didn't bounce off it. And yesterday we broke it. So
yeah, and we have a pretty stable price move down here. So, of
yeah,
course, it's because we are ahead of the ECB, but I just think that trend here remains very clear, and at least one more push to the downside is something that I would watch for. But towards the end of the summer, or at least in maybe in August, we could see this wedge pattern and known as ending diagonal coming
yeah,
to an end down there around 95. That's a pretty big level that we already mentioned last
yeah.
time. So I would not get too excited about the bears down there. Also, if we take a look here, this one is pretty interesting when I look at the cycle. So we have German US yield spread here at the bottom. And as you know, this cycle has basically turned lower here, bearish back in April, right? But the euro dollar still holding up pretty well. But there is speculation, and I think that there will be some positive news from out from the US European trade negotiations, and maybe this will send the markets even higher. Who knows? Maybe Fed will cut rates, and we will see more economy expansion later on. And I think that the US yields could basically move to the upside and possibly will cause a turn lower on the euro dollar, which so far is lagging compared to this.
Okay, so let me ask you, has that count changed because we started heading up in yields, and I believe last time you were here, you were looking for one more
Uh,
low before this happened. Yeah, there, your D.
Yes, exactly. So we are still in a very big range here. So US yields could see a bit more upside when this wave D on treasuries obviously will move to the downside. But overall,
Okay,
I just cannot say that bottom has been formed here because you know how the Elliott wave structure works. That was a free wave rise here
right,
from that
got it.
low.
Yeah,
So it's either a completed correction up there and we see a straight move to the downside, or we are just trapped in a higher degree complex correction. So I think that this contracting range is getting very narrow here. So I think that there is going to be some push to the downside, but of course maybe even 112 could still be retested first here.
okay,
So
see it.
euro dollar. Oh, obviously, maybe if we get some setbacks, if there will be some dovish signs today from the ECB, but as I know, they are not expected to cut, right? Maybe in September. So even if we see some kind of a dip, maybe there will be interesting support. I think that around 117, we definitely have to respect this trend because we bottomed here after this drop at the previous high. So again, here I'm looking a bit of more upside. But as I said already last time, I think that commodity currencies are looking much, much better.
Yeah, they went from worst to first this week,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yes, and if we take a look here, I have this overlay chart. You can see that that's basically goes back to when we have seen this swing here on these dollar pairs. So I will move this to the left here. So from that bottom, which was I believe in July 17 or so, last week, we can see that NOK, Kiwi, Aussie, these are doing very, very well. CAD is lagging here, but even this one has made a pretty aggressive reversal recently. So I think that these commodity currencies will do well and they could outperform the Euro Pound. If we take a look at the Euro Aussie, for example, we have some very nice break out of this channel. And then we even, if I zoom this in, even retested it from the outside right at the 61.8%, and looks like there is a lot of weakness to show up here, especially since this also looks like an impulsive here on a smaller scale. So I think that commodity currencies are doing well. For myself for the next few sessions. I will be observing dollar NOK for potential short. So as I said, NOK is doing very well. Since last Thursday, it's been one of the strongest. And if we look then at the wave structure, okay, firstly on a daily chart, we can see that there was, maybe just ignore the waves because we don't need them each time. You can see that we have seen a pretty nice, firstly retest, then a breakthrough this 10.40 level, then came out here and retested it almost before market reversed even lower. So I think that's a pretty nice bear flag that suggests more weakness. And in Elliott wave terms, if you look, this looks like a very nice, beautiful ABC rally, right? So I think that this rally is now finished up here, and I will watch for potential resistance here, a retest of 10.15, 10.20. That would be a pretty nice, interesting area for potential continuation lower if we get this rally. So I really love this setup, or I like it because NOK, as I said, is doing pretty well from last Thursday. It's been one of the strongest. So we also have a confirmed Elliott waves price action as well because of those impulsive declines. So I think the dollar NOK is very interesting and definitely bearish as long as we are trading below 10.34. So this one will certainly be on my watch list, as I said. Maybe looking at gold.
That was a great call. You had the upper end of the range for this triangle
Yeah,
at 30, at 34.30, and I think it got
yeah.
to
I mean,
33.
it was, I mean, when I was looking and reading some stuff on X and elsewhere, everyone is just waiting on this breakout on gold. It
Yeah.
was so overcrowded.
Mm.
And one real serious warning was Monday, because Monday was a pretty nice move here so far. From that was from 350, we have seen a nice continuation to the upside towards 3,400. And Mondays, I really do not trust them as a breakout day. Usually they can be reversed in this kind of a price action during the course of the week. And I said that if we don't see a daily close here above this upper trend line, this is not a breakout. And there were just overcrowded move that everyone expected, and market obviously does the opposite. So we're just still keep chopping around here. It looks and it makes sense because of this maybe trade deals between US and Japan. There is not, maybe there is some optimism, not so many aggressive runs into safe havens. And
I'd
this,
like to say, Grega, that your work, because I got short a little bit early, like at 15, and I moved my stop above your upper range, and it saved me from like losing 20, $25, and I'm in the money now. So it was your work and me being part of this at Forex Analytics, having access to account I wouldn't have come up with on my own that benefited me. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. That's why we are sharing this analysis, right? So
Yeah.
that we can see from through
Is
our
there any other
otherwise.
triangle it could be instead of contracting? Can you make a case for 2,900 if it's not a contracting triangle, but maybe like a flat where we could go down to that level?
There are different scenarios, obviously, whenever we are in this range, but I still think that even if we get a drop below 3 to 50,
Yeah.
there is still a chance that we will be trapped in some more complex triangles. So you can see blue lines here,
Yeah.
A, B,
Okay.
C, D, E, or maybe we are already in wave E, which is my preferred scenario for now, but we still need to see this wave E then maybe coming to an end sometime next week.
Okay.
Maybe it's worth to keep an eye on. Let me check. I think there was some gap back here. Maybe it's visible only in a smaller time frame because that's the 4-hour.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that if we see 3 to 50 still would be a very, very strong support down here. And it still would be the lower side of the range. So if someone
Yeah.
maybe would look for any kind of entries where we are at this pivot, then obviously it's much better. Opportunities could show up at the lower side of the range rather than chasing the markets up here, or just simply have to wait on confirmed decisive break out of this range and try to ride the market to the upside. So that's for gold. Silver, still more upside. I think that we will see $40 retested, but again, looking at some of the big picture here, I would
It's
not.
5.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not, maybe I'm wrong, but definitely not the wave structure where I would dare to chase this market to the upside from here. We are also the upper side of this Elliott wave channel as well. So I connected the dots of a wave 2 and wave 4 low, put the trend line at the top of a wave 3 here. So that's resistance. We'll see how the monthly closes will unfold up here, and if we can break out, then of course it could be a stage for at least for some near-term pose.
Can I ask you about stock indexes? NASDAQ has been lagging S&Ps. Does that mean anything to you? And are we close to where we could get that 4 that you just had up there?
No, I just still think that we are in this period of seasonals where market could go a bit of sideways. You can see
Okay.
here, if I zoom this in, here
Yeah.
at the end of July, especially because we had a pretty similar July this month,
Yeah.
this year, we could be coming into the potential resistance, or at least some correction is something that I would not be surprised if it shows up. And maybe the Nasdaq could be the first one maybe to show this. But the overall, it's still an uptrend, and it's not easy to guess from where and when this correction will start. But if we break this smaller trend line here, then we could start maybe observing some supports here for an upcoming wave 4. But overall, looking at German DAX, for example, is also still consolidation trapped in a range here. So obviously these indexes are still in healthy uptrend here.
Can I ask you?
I hate to, guys, I hate to interrupt.
We have 2
We're
minutes.
a minute away from the ECB.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No
That's the
problem.
only
I was
thing
keeping
more
an eye.
important than Grega's wave counts is news.
Of course. Basically, that's it, Blake. If you want to take
All
over.
right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take over from here.
Sure.
Real quick, Ryan, and I could throw in Ryan and K-Man right now, but what should we, Ryan? Let's go with you. What should we expect out of the ECB today? Just more tanning, or this is the does the ECB, do they really start to try to talk down the euro here, or do they keep rates because they, where they're currently at, or do they cut them because of, a trade deal? What's going on?
Well, in 16 seconds. No, they don't do anything with rates. They're going to talk about the currency. They'll probably get questioned on the currency, but we're not rocketing higher. So there's no real reason to go strong on that. But maybe give it some lip service. Really, we're just talking about what they might do for the rest of the year. But we can circle back after the announcement.
All right. And then remember, we do have a press conference in 30 minutes. We will not be here live. We'll be in our chat rooms talking about that and
Unchanged.
unchanged. Okay, as expected, by the way. And let's see if there's any comments on the statement when you
Nothing.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing. Not committing to any particular rate path, ensuring inflation stabilizes at 2%, blah, 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 ready to adjust all instruments, blah, 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 blah. Carry on.
Okay. Okay. So really no movement. No movement here in the euro. I want to just point out that the euro, as you know, Grega was also just talking about, the euro is up near its highs, and the question is, does the euro continue to break out? And I want to just back up for a second and go back to, you know, the upside target of 120. Because if you look at the weekly chart, you know, and the weekly, you know, triangle resistance, it does actually come in at 120. We'd undercut that a little bit over the course of the last, you know, few weeks. We just drew through this trend line to this high. And that's basically taken us to where we've gotten, you know, which is basically 118 and, you know, roughly. So if we break through these highs, do we challenge 120? And 120 is going to be a big number. I mean, that's a number that I want to say that everybody's looking at right now. And I think the ECB probably has got the 120 level squarely in their you know, in their purview, and probably going to react or start to comment somewhere around there. So let's hear from K-Man really quick. K-Man, do you think this euro is going to actually break out to the upside? It sure does feel like it.
It's bit, and but as I said already yesterday, I think there's talks about, and von der Leyen is commenting again about this EU-US deal. I think if we get something of the likes, it may be more supportive for euro crosses than actually the euro dollar, but it's undeniably bid again, and we are going to have to break back below 117, 10, 15 to take the pressure off.
Which would be right here.
Yeah, it's right there. Otherwise it's probably going to stay fairly in demand right now. And as I said, it's also kind of helped with the euro yen holding, sterling data a bit on the weak-ish side, also underpinning euro sterling. So but I really think for as long as we are not breaking back above 118, there is still a fair chance we are going to build ranges, you know. It doesn't seem that ECB is going to talk too much about the FX rate, so that may be some kind of an additional factor that just keeps the bid, but
yeah,
it doesn't really. It shouldn't really affect much, because I mean, personally, I don't think before 120, 125 they should worry about the FX rate. But yeah, it's just the reaction that we have is where the market is at, I think, and waiting, really waiting. Can't sell it, but are you going to chase it here? It's another question.
You know, going back to like a couple weeks ago, or actually about a month and a half ago or two, I was aching to sell the euro on this breakout up at 120, and you know, because of recent developments over the last several weeks, I was like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe we've topped. But you know, Dale, going back to, you know, the euro and the dollar index, I mean, if the euro punches into 120, that's going to put the dollar index probably below this long-term trend line. I don't know if that's
maybe that's
enough.
what it's going to take, Blake, is, you know, trend lines destinies are to be broken. How many broken major trend lines have you seen where everyone piles on that breakdown, and if you had had a thicker pen, it would have held it.
Sure. And
You know what I
that's
mean?
the thing is they want to catch everybody off guard. You know, they want to stop as many people out as possible. And I've read a lot of bank research in recent weeks that are, you know, that are now starting to think that the dollar is going to, you know, find buyers down here. There's a lot of people trying to talk up the, you know, the dollar bullish scenario from here, but maybe there's one last flush with the euro at 120. I will still, and I stand by this, and I'm going to do it probably blindly, not even caring what's happening at the moment, is if the euro trades up towards 119, you know, above 119.50, I am going to be a seller. I'm going to just start layering in to shorts, but that's if we can even get there. And hell, it could be as early as before August 1st, as we announce some sort of US European trade deal. But I think, and I'm going to go back to what K-Man was saying. The euro crosses is maybe a better place to be, and I think there's some very good value propositions out there. But look at like euro sterling. I mean, you know, euro sterling's built a hell of a base here. And I mean, if we break out and Ryan, I know you trade this one quite a bit, and I know you're a super sterling bull at this point. I'm joking. Actually, I'm being very sarcastic. But I mean, if we break above like, you know, this 87.60 level, I mean, that's going to be a pretty bullish breakout. That's a 50% retracement. It's nice horizontal resistance. I mean, isn't there better places to be long the euro than just in the euro dollar?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't even need to wait for those highs. 87, anywhere between 86.90, 87.20. If we're breaking through that, then we're probably heading up a lot higher. Yeah, I was bemoaning again about not being long on this one. Missed the dip the other week when it got down to 30s. Wanted a bit more, so I've got a massive itch to be long in this one, because particularly after the data today, PMI data wasn't exactly shining a rosy light on things, and I don't think things are going to get better.
Yeah, the UK services PMI started to roll over a little bit. Eurozone PMIs came in pretty much unexpected, or as expected, is what I meant to say.
Well, the scene was pretty much across the world: Japan, Australia, Europe, UK. Well, except for UK. Services doing a little bit better than the others. Manufacturing, you know, small improvements, or, you know, pretty much unchanged. But there was a definite pickup in services, particularly in Germany. So maybe something's brewing.
Okay. You know, one of the other things that we should be talking about here is we got Canadian retail sales. Now, I think Canadian retail sales should be interesting today, and the reason why I'm going to say this is because there's been a real big, you know, boycott of U.S. goods, which, you know, Canada is one of the U.S.'s biggest trading partners, you know, outside of Mexico. I mean, obviously our neighbor here, but there's been obviously a big uproar in Canada about, you know, U.S. goods, which rightfully so. I'm not going to say anything other than that. The dollar Canadian is right at what I consider pretty key support down here, and might be what we would consider as triangle support. And it's like trying to base. And so I think while we're above this 135.75 level, it's, you know, there's reason to be cautious about being on the short side. But on the flip side is if we do see some Canadian dollar weakness and we get back above this 136.35 level, I think I pointed that out this morning in the chat room. Yeah, that would be the level. Then that's where we need to be looking for a possible squeeze in the dollar Canadian, would be right back above this level. Ryan, do you have any feel on the Canadian data that we have coming out?
Well, apart from it being old, about 6 months old. No,
we've seen 6 months. Come on, now you're like 2 months.
Well, it's still winter over there. Yeah, retail sales can be a bit volatile, particularly with these lot. It's going to have to be super good, I think, to really kick that dollar CAD lower. If you scroll up in the chat room, I put a bit out this morning as well. 136.50 is my pivot line. We're in this range, 135.40. Keep going.
By the way, guys, this is the Forex Analytics. This is the Forex Analytics chat room that you see all these conversations going all day, all night long. So if you guys aren't in a community like this, talking markets with everybody, and yeah, I mean, like you guys are all talking. Sorry, I skipped right over it, Ryan.
Hey, any of the guys think that the yen may have completed down there and now we're on our way back up? Like with that would correlate with Grega's view on
You
yields?
know, heading back up, Dale, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was long dollar yen last night. I got long at 145.96.
Nice.
I got aggressive. I was it was in Asia, and so I was looking to buy it below 146. I bought it. It was at the 50% retracement.
Yeah.
I had so much of it, I spun out of it for like 14 pips. But
Okay.
I'm a little pissed because we were just talking
Yeah.
about it in the chat room this morning. I'm like, man, I wish I knew that was the level. I know K-Man's been kind of thinking that we'd bottom
Waiting.
around here, and I think
Yeah.
K-Man, you should probably jump in and comment about how you feel about the yen down at these levels.
Yeah, the thing is, dollar yen is, yeah, that level was pretty good. And I actually bought a little yesterday, and I had it overnight around the same level as Blake. I also let mine go because I don't have a lot of faith in the dollar right now, but I'm long euro yen. So I still think that, and by the way, Akazawa said this morning, early doors, that they haven't signed any of the deal yet, and they still need to iron out a few things that the US said, but Japan didn't really understand.
Speaking
So
of euro
I,
yen, I mean, if we break out in the euro yen, I mean, this is
yeah,
pre euro, so this is taking
mm,
in. I mean, we're at like new highs for the euro against the yen
mm,
after its creation, right?
um, are we? No.
Yeah, because that
Yeah,
its
possibly.
creation was in 2001 or
Nah,
what?
99, 2000, 99.
99. Okay, so right around here. I mean, this would be new highs
Yeah,
for the euro
yeah, because
against the
yeah,
yen.
yeah, because we went through all that period of deflation, and then before Abe stepped in and etc. No, but I think all in all, we still have a bit of political risk ongoing in Japan, which is still not cleared out. I think we still don't have like a clear um, catalyst to be really long yen. Okay, there's a structure of a trade deal, but as I said, the Japanese haven't signed it yet, and the effect of the post-election buy the rumor, sell the fact is also running out of it. So whether it's dollar yen or whether it's a yen cross, I still am not a huge believer in the big yen revival.
Let me, can I ask this,
Yeah.
Blake? I think you talked about it
Okay.
earlier. Why is there so much confidence that there's going to be a trade deal between the US and Europe? That, is that the narrative coming from the White House or from Europeans? Because they have different types of retaliatory tariffs that are not just on goods, but are on tech companies. And I've been watching Uber for a long time. So if you pull up the Uber chart, which would be affected by these retaliatory tariffs on tech, Uber is not acting like the rest of the market. See how it's just hanging on by it's vulnerable. If we get under that move, the lows of this week, there's lots of space. So I'm thinking that maybe everyone's bullish Uber, that perhaps there's something coming out of Europe that could shake confidence in the stock.
Well, first of all, I think with Europe, I mean, you're dealing with 28 different countries, and so I know
Yeah.
the EU is I mean, I would assume that, putting together a deal is probably pretty difficult, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan came out. What are
Ryan,
you guys' thoughts
you
there?
guys think this could be easy to get a deal with the Eurozone and Trump?
Sorry, me.
Yeah. Okay.
It should be. I mean, it's for all intents and purposes, we got one on the cards. So yeah, we should be getting one soon.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise if we don't get one.
Okay.
I mean, they're keeping their the EU just reported on via the Financial Times that they're gonna keep their
Crap
retail. Oh,
retails, by the
sorry.
way. Crap retails from Canada.
Okay, it didn't move the needle. As maybe Ryan, you're pointing out, it's been pointing out, it's late data, but I mean, the EU is going to keep their retaliation in reserve, even as if a deal is reached, because they probably are looking at like, well, the chances of the deal sticking are slim to none. So we've got to keep our retaliation plan in reserve just in case the US backs out. I mean, the Besant came out last night and said that if Trump's not happy with Japan, the tariffs are going to get raised to 25%. Well, where's the benchmark there? Like, if he's not happy, like, what? I mean,
Well, the investment program. I mean,
I know, but what makes him happy or not happy? He could say Epstein is rubbing him the wrong way. I'm not happy with Japan. I mean, that's the kind of volatility you deal with, right? I mean,
Well, it'd be like an impulse trader, right? So it's impulse policy. You're right, Blake. Nothing's in stone until it's signed.
and
And
even
then
if it's
who
signed,
knows?
does it even matter? Look at USMCA from, last term.
Yeah.
We're throwing that out the door, and maybe that's the reason why the Mexican peso might start to show some weakness now as it's starting to pop back above these highs. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice look there.
It sure is. Yeah, we just basically came as close to the 161% extension as you're going to get. So watch the dollar
Well,
Mexican for a reverse.
what a content chocked face session today with Grega and Cayman and Ryan and you. Really a lot of ideas floating out there. I hope our attendees and viewers are not overwhelmed by all the good stuff to, process. So
Well,
it's
Coach,
good to
thanks
be
for
overwhelmed.
guiding us every day. Ryan and K-Man, K-Man's going to be stepping in next week for Ryan in the Flow Show. Ryan is on his 400th vacation for the year, so
Oh,
Ryan,
that's a
enjoy.
new record.
All right, all right. I like to
Records are yet
harass
to be
Ryan.
broken, Dale.
Hey, you know what? These
Yet to be
guys
broken.
know how to have longevity.
They
And you
do.
know what, Blake? You
Yeah.
need to take more time off.
I probably do. Or maybe
Yeah.
starting in 2026. We'll see.
All right.
All right, guys. But hey, one thing before I go, and I know Dale's got his interview. Guys, we're coming up to the last week in the month. So if you go to the middle of our website and you click here right in the middle, and you can get to the link about trading analytics. Make sure you put your name, email address in here to be in the running for 2 trader funding program assessment giveaways. We gave away 1 last month. We're giving away 2 this month. This subscribes you to our weekly newsletter. You'll be we just started leaking out some of the features that we are putting into trading analytics that'll be out in the next couple of months. So get on our newsletter, and we're going to have a risk management webinar exclusive to anybody on this newsletter. The link to access it will be in the newsletter. It is August 7th. So even if you're on vacation, you're on holidays, make sure you are on this list, because that risk management webinar, Dale's going to be there, Ryan's going to be there, K-Man, Greg is going to be on holiday and he's going to try to be there. We're going to have the whole team talking about risk management, because it's all different based on how everybody trades. There's not one size fits all. So risk management is by far the key to your longevity in the markets. The only way you are going to live in the markets from here for the rest of your trading career is having proper risk management skills. We're going to be going into a very long show on all the key aspects to that. So make sure you guys are registered on this email list. It's right here, right in the middle of our website. So Dale, it's back over to you, buddy.
All right. And as far as our secrets being leaked, I think we have a deep throat among us. I'm not going to say who I think it is, but I think we have someone, and I'll just give you a hint. They say they're going on vacation. All right. So that's who I think it is. Anyway, doing covert work. So thank you, team. Grega, great to have you here today if you're still in the house. And thank you, K-Man, as always, and Ryan. Very good descriptive language about the Canadian data, that it was crap. And, I see the image in my head. Your vernacular always impresses me. And thanks, Blake, for some good looks. And we'll wrap it up tomorrow, TGIF team. Okay,
Cheers,
so
thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. So in the meantime, let's bring our friend Thomas Malinen in from Europe, from Finland, right, Thomas?
Yeah, Helsinki, Finland.
Yeah, all right. So how have you been? We haven't talked. There have been so many dramas in the market since you and I talked, what happened in April, and then the fastest recovery in history as well, the biggest dollar decline as far as speed and magnitude. So what's top of mind? What are you writing about to your subscribers here?
Well, currently we're just I just returned from a vacation. I was it was a luxurious break of 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So we drove to northern Norway. It's a place, if you plan to visit Europe, you absolutely need to go to northern Norway. The sceneries are so great. I've been there since, well, many times since childhood, basically. And then I went to cottage and farm and brought parts of my books. So I've been like I've been following what has been happening during the past 3 weeks only, like with the side eye.
Yeah.
And I have to mention this. While in Norway, I was without a phone, so that the phone was closed and out of power in a car for 5 days. It was one of the most relaxing experience I've had for I don't know, several years. So I would urge everyone to take a phone-free break, like just a few days. It is really,
Yeah, I tell you, it disturbs your peace all the time.
Yeah.
So, I actually lived after I had a health crisis without a cell phone for about 3 years. And, people were able to get me on a landline if they needed me. And then I fell back into it, and I have to turn it off. If you're taking a nap, you're getting beeps and chimes, and it's really has taken over our lives. I think that's a great idea, especially for traders that are receiving sometimes too much information overload. To clear your head or find a meditation type practice. But I think that what we think is a convenience has made us slaves to it.
Yeah, it is. It is something, and the information you need to absorb nowadays is rather massive. It's just not the economy, but the geopolitics and the like what you spoke a bit earlier. The somewhat chaotic nature of the current U.S. administration. There is thing, however, with that. I consider that Trump always has a plan. But he kind of plays it by heart. I think maybe if we could describe it that way, and it may look chaotic, but it's part of the kind of strategical angle he's playing. Of course, there's persona involved, but I think the biggest decisions are rather well thought out. It doesn't mean that they result to good decisions, but I think they have really planned those out, like with the tariffs even.
Okay, so do you think they're going to get all these deals are going to happen without? How about Europe? You're there. Do you think that it seems like we have one with Japan, but now I'm hearing things that it's really not completely solid. What about Europe? Is there going to be a problem there?
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a problem everywhere. You cannot just make up trade deals in a matter of weeks. They usually take a lot of time to finish because there are a lot of details. So I don't, but I think there's a leeway here in the sense that Trump is willing to walk back from tariffs if he sees positive developments. But Europe is a mess in the sense that we have national interests are being trumped, so to speak, by the European Union and the very authority and rule subjected over us by the by von der Leyen, the Commission President. So Europe is a mess. So I don't know, how do you see the situation in the US? You may see a uniform message, but it's not. Under the surface, everything is moving. So I don't really know. I have, as you know, I have been critical on the future of Europe for some time now, but we're reaching something of a hinge point. You know,
With what?
we have
Ukraine?
what?
With Ukraine, or the experiment,
everything.
the experiment of the euro being having that currency that doesn't, one size doesn't fit all.
No, people are kind of waking up now that things are not good in the EU. Everything kind of, or in Europe in general, everything kind of affects that. Ukraine, immigrants, euro, the continued economic stagnation, and especially the deindustrialization of Germany, which is massive. And like, people in Germany are waking up. Okay, our country is being overrun by African immigrants while our economy is deteriorating seriously. So I don't. I'm talking about a hinge point in the sense that either something really drastic happens, and the kind of the governmental structure of the European Union cements itself, or then we gonna have something of a cataclysmic breakup. So someone's gonna leave the EU, and it may fall apart altogether. So I think
who's your candidate most likely for leaving?
Hungary.
Okay.
That's a no-brainer. They are like, they have been treated really badly by the European government, just because they are like, you may think what you want of Viktor Orban, but I've been in Hungary many times in a conference, and I have friends, and even our partner lives there, and generally people are very satisfied with the policies driven by Orban. Not all, but generally they think that Orban is defending the interests of Hungarians. And so, it's difficult to say, but there is chaos brewing in Europe, and of course we have this dark shadow of the risk of an outright war with Russia. It's there constantly because of Ukraine, but there are no interesting developments happening in Ukraine which make me positive. Once again, you probably heard that there is something of a new Maidan going on in Kiev, in parts of Ukraine, because of the Zelensky regime tried to or established a control over the anti-corruption bureau. Basically, this is the simplified version, and people got fed up with that. But I think, like, if these demonstrations really spread, I think there needs to be some kind of background force. It cannot be Russia. So if these spread, it's gonna be
NATO,
Trump administration who is driving this. Like, I could show you one thing I just published yesterday.
Okay.
It's here.
Let me share. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are three things that need to happen. And this is the interesting thing, like, according to several reports, President Putin said that during the next 60 days or 40 days left now, but in early July, he announced that he will uh, make a renewed push to get all the areas in Donbass in his control. And around 10 days after, Trump comes out with his 50-day deadline. So they have the same deadlines essentially.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing because I think they have an agreement between Putin and President Trump. They have an agreement, and it's twofold. First,
Get
Trump
rid of Zelensky.
yeah, but in overall, it gives Russia, Kremlin, free hands more or less to handle Ukraine. But at the other end, Russia will support the aims of getting a nuclear deal with Iran. I think this works this way.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and
Interesting.
if I don't know, have you seen the comments? But I think it was in the 13th of July. Sorry, President Putin said in an interview that he would like to see a zero. What's the word? Well, that zero enrichment deal with
Okay.
with Iran, and that's a big thing. And I think
That
it
is.
would mostly escape the mainstream media. But these these give us hints that okay, there may be a deal. But what would be required for a lasting ceasefire in Ukraine? There are three pieces. That Russia would need to break through in the Donetsk region to get at least very close to there's a heavily fortified Slavyansk, Kramatorsk pair of cities. They would need to get there, which is in the northern part of Donetsk, and there would need to be an ousting of Zelensky, with someone with a less dire view towards Russia taking his place. And if we want to speculate a bit, there's like 40 days left now before the 50-day deadline of Trump ends. So something needs to happen within Ukraine to get like an exit path for Zelensky. And this thing, the anti-corruption thing, could be it. We don't know, but it just fits this kind of alternative narrative, which assumes that there is a deal between Putin and President Trump. And I've been like advocating over and over again for months that you need to get rid of Zelensky for several reasons. He cannot negotiate peace. Like in Finland in summer '44, when we barely repelled the massive attack of Soviet Union in Finland, and our leaders noticed that we cannot take another one. So we changed our president. The one who had led us in the war or in war was changed to the actually military commander Mannerheim. So we did this to clear the way for the negotiations, and this is what needs to happen in Ukraine too. And I hope that the Maidan thing or whatever that's happening in Ukraine now is a first step of ousting Zelensky, and it is partly driven by US in well,
Aren't things pretty dire in Russia as a result of this war?
no,
They're not. You think they're
no.
not? Because maybe that's
For,
just propaganda that I read about. People not being able to afford food. What's happened to the ruble? Um,
yeah, but ruble has been strengthening of late, actually. But the thing is that as it happens, I have few direct contacts to Russia now. These are the ordinary Russians, so I basically
okay.
know what's going on there. And there's like, well, the economy is has been overheated because of all the military spending and spending on industries, and the inflation is high. That's true, but there is like nothing sort of a collapse it's not visible there. The economy is
Okay.
humming along, but
Well, what is visible there?
well, it's visible basically that they are well, the worrying thing is that before, like a year ago, these ordinary Russians, these contacts, they were just hoping that the war ends.
Right.
But somewhere during the spring, maybe in the April, May, I got a word that there has been a change in the mood, And
They
now
want to win it.
some are saying, and these are ordinary, like middle class Russians, some are now thinking that maybe we need to fight another war. And this is because they have lost faith to Trump. The ordinary Russians really waited that Trump will bring something new. And this is also what the propaganda channels or the TV channels of Kremlin were kind of touting for, that Trump bring a change. So there is.
Why don't they demand that of Putin?
What?
He's their president.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he bring a change? Why aren't they demanding that he finds a way to end the war? Why is it up to Trump to do so?
Because Russians are considering the war more and more like existential. And the heavy war rhetoric from NATO has turned. The ordinary Russians did not believe the narrative the Kremlin put forward that NATO is our enemy. They did not believe it before. But now, because the war rhetoric has been so massive, they have started to think that maybe Putin is right. He has more support now than he had like a few years ago. Now,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is like it has completely turned around, and this is how Russians work, how they behave when they see that the Russian motherland is threatened. Like they turn to the leader that is defending it.
Yeah.
I was just visiting one Russian who lives in. He's not my friend, but the friend of the woman I'm seeing, and they are very like they in Finnish standard they are almost rich, like very, but
affluent,
very well integrated in the Finnish society. But the French friend, let's put it that way, she's defending Putin heavily now, and many are thinking that Russia is under threat, and Putin is the one who can keep Russia intact and save them. And this is how the narrative have changed within a year, and this is something I worry quite a bit about.
Okay. Yeah, so
like
when people have fear, they want the strong man.
Yeah,
to deliver them, right?
And Russians, like, we have to remember that Western Russia has been run to the ground 2 times before. First by Napoleon in 1870, 1880, and then Hitler in the Operation Barbarossa in 1941, 1944.
Yeah. Can I bring up what I think could be a new development and a potential expansion of the regional war in the Middle East?
Sure.
So let's talk Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay. I want the drumstick. Okay. No, now talking about Turkey, who backed the new leadership and the ouster of Assad. Do you agree that he was the money and engineered that particular move to oust Assad? Okay, so we know what's happening in Turkey. So you say that what's happening in Turkey isn't happening in Russia. Well, the lira has depreciated, I don't know, 99.99%.
Yeah.
And it's very dire. He's arresting political opponents, mainly mayors, all across the country.
Yeah.
There's no love lost for Israel from Erdogan. And like you say, dictator's playbook to unite the country during times of distress could be war. And if there is prophecy about Damascus being turned into ashes.
Yeah.
So are you worried about Israel taking out Damascus, the oldest city on the planet, and Erdogan getting involved as an adversary, which would really be complicated, a NATO member becoming a direct adversary against Israel?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Of course, like during the 12-day war, Israel started, of course, the brilliant operation once again. But the Iranian society and leadership, they just sustained. And at the latter days, Israel was hurting really bad.
Yeah.
So Iran kind of unleashed this attrition.
Showed their vulnerabilities for the first time.
And there were
Yeah.
some Palestinians who wrote in social media when there were direct rocket hits to Tel Aviv that never in his lifetime would he believe that he would see this.
Yeah.
It was such a massive thing. So, but the thing is that I truly think that there is this Zionist clique within the Netanyahu administration who truly think that they need to establish the greater Israel mentioned in the Bible. And if this is true, this also fits to our peak escalation narrative, then or hypothesis, then we will see another escalation. But I'm not. I don't know how are they going to take up Iran again because it's it turned to be a really tough nut. So, but maybe they tried something else. But the point here is that I don't think there will be a if Trump manages everything like properly, like what he did with Iran was pure genius in my thinking. It was a beautifully executed operation. I think most of Fordo is still there, but but it was a beautifully executed and propagandized operation, which led to the outcome everyone was looking for.
Yeah,
So
ceasefire.
if he manages to bring a pause to all this war going everywhere, then that would be a great thing. But I think it would only be a pause, because you mentioned that dictators can only survive by uniting people under war or whatever. And if we come back to Europe, there's only one entity in Europe who really needs that, and that's the European Union. They need a war. They need European nations to unite under the EU banner and provide them all the funding to build a federal union. That's the thing.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been saying this for like 4 years, even before the war, that they need a war. They need a war to create a European war union.
So
And
obviously the adversary would be Russia.
of course.
Yeah.
And these are really like dark and crazy plans we see like manifesting here.
Yeah, they're NATO scrambling jets over drone attacks.
Yeah. Well,
So they are flexing their muscle a bit
yeah,
lately,
they
I've
are.
noticed.
And there's a gradual buildup in the thinking of that they try to get the people to think that this is something we need to do. We need to go to a war. Europeans do not want it. Russians do not want it, although Russians seems to be turning into the point that they need to. But Europeans are quite far from that still. But this is a long game. Long game. I mean, I think, I hope, to 2 to 5 years maybe. Then we'll see. But everything, I think the aim is to bring everything together, including the South China Sea or the Taiwan theater. So I just hope that Trump is able to clear this. I truly do.
All right. Well, I'm glad you took a vacation and recharge your battery, because we're going to need you as a watchman as time goes forward, Thomas. And just
I have to mention this though.
Oh.
I was away from the markets for a very long time, but then in the beginning of July, I bought some gold.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to say. So, just sit in gold and forget everything else. The volatility in the markets are great trading opportunities, but your view on risk is still risk averse.
Yeah, and if you're gonna play, just be prepared that the shocks will be continue to be extreme. And they come out of nowhere, basically, like black swans. War starts there, conflict starts there, and this kind of stuff. But I have to also mention that we've been now running time series forecast for a multitude of variables, and basically everything we produce implies that we are now in a kind of last slow expansion, which will turn into a decline or downturn somewhere on the latter part of the year. And every single forecast currently shows that 2026 will not be good in economic wise. So prepare also to that. There's
that lines up with cycles I've been reading about and hearing from people who I respect, that they may be able to hold things together through the year, through year end, maybe into the spring, but 2026 going into the midterms is going to be a pretty negative period. So
yeah,
it doesn't look good for the midterms if we're having problems going into November 2026.
I got show this. This is the latter part of June, our first forecast based on the real private domestic investment, and they produce this kind of forecast for US real GDP, which you notice that in the 2026, the second quarter and the third quarter in 2026, there would be quite a noticeable, drop.
Yeah.
US
Okay.
GDP. So
all right, so that shows it holding together to the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I think the next year will not be good.
Okay.
Economy.
All right. Well, great to talk to you, Thomas. Everyone needs to go to Norway. That's his big recommendation. And thanks for keeping an eye on all the pots on the oven that are bubbling over for us.
You're welcome. Most welcome.
Okay, and you can follow Thomas at MT Melanin on X, and I did show you can go to his Substack and read what he has to say. Boots on the ground is what I say for MT Melanin, and as you can see, he talks to people on the street, not just getting, the narrative from government officials. So thanks again. It was great catching up. Okay. Thank you, Thomas. It was great catching up. And that's a wrap, everyone.
Thanks, yeah.
All right. And, don't just count your potential hot zones for wars, count your blessings, pray for peace. We'll see everyone tomorrow for TGIF. Good hunting the rest of the day. You could join the team in 14 minutes on the morning edge. Adios, my trading warrior brothers and sisters. Shalom. Adios.